Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fun Times Quest. And that, so this is a new channel I'm trying out because I want to try to help people work on vehicles and figure out how to get them a vehicle running that's been sitting for a while. And that I've seen other YouTube videos that have done this before, but they've never really kind of showed the process of their step-by-step procedure that they use to actually get these things running again. And that, so for this first quest that I wanted to start out with was this 1979 Lincoln Versailles that a friend of mine was able to save from a junkyard. And that, so the people at the junkyard actually called him up and said they had two of these vehicles that they got off an older lady that was sitting for, I don't know, 10 to 15 years in her garage, and they haven't been ran in a long time. And that, so the nicer of the two, I actually got running back, when was that? Back in September sometime. And we took that car to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, to the big car meet over there. And that it was really interesting. I've never been there before, but that was a really interesting place to be and see all that kind of thing. But that's a different story for a different day. Maybe I'll end up going back there again this spring with my friend again, and hopefully. But back to the main thing again here is that again, this car's been sitting for a long time, and I figured this one would be a good one to kind of start with to help show you my step-by-step process of what I do to try to figure out how to get these running again. And that, because when it comes to these gas engines, it takes four things to make an engine run. You got fuel, spark, and oxygen, and that. But the last step a lot of people forget is compression too, and stuff. So, but for my most part, when it comes to getting these things running that have been sitting, I found out it's either fuel or spark. Usually, it's more fuel than it is spark. And that, so I always test for fuel to see if that's the reason why it's not running. Then I go to spark from there, and because it's a very easy test to try to see if it's a fuel problem versus spark problem, and that. And I'll show you when we start digging into this thing, and that, So, but that's part of the reason I started this channel, just to show you that what it is and what it takes to actually get these things running. Like I've mentioned, I see a lot of YouTube videos, channels that actually do this type of thing, but they don't show you what happens between, getting it, finding it to finally getting it running. And that it's kind of like even on the TV shows where they skip a bunch of things in between that shows what's going on. I know a lot of YouTube mechanics out there that I've even watched videos with these people, and they'll show you how certain things while they're doing it. You do this, take this off, and you take this off, but then all of a sudden there's a whole section of it, and then you take this off and they show it off, but they didn't show you how they got it off because it was such a pain to take off. And it's like, I want to show you that yes, this is going to be a pain, but I want you to show the process of how we got it out too, kind of thing on this channel. And that, so I'm not just going to show you this, as my only, because this is my main quest and that, but I always have side quests that pop up in between and that. So, I may work on this one day and that, and when I'm waiting on parts to come in, and I know I'm probably going to need parts, I kind of already have an idea what this is going to need just by looking at it. And what I had to do was the other Lincoln Versailles that I got running and driving and that. But when I get another side quest that comes in, I might even show you part of that, depending on what it is. If it's really simple, I'm not probably going to do anything video on it. But if it's something that's pretty interesting, I'll show you guys what it is and what's going on and that. So, but that's the main thing, is I just want to help people out and that, because I used to teach at a school and that, and try to get students to learn all this stuff and that. And now that I've retired from the school, I've been retired for 7 months now from the school, I kind of missed the teaching part and that, so I figured maybe by doing this, I can get back into helping people again, and that the where they can do things for themselves, just by what I teach them on this channel. Because, when it comes to it, I'm going to just basically show you the basics of everything and that. And if you understand the basic mechanics of how things are supposed to work, then you'll be able to actually figure it out what's going on. Because that's the main problem when it comes to these vehicles is if you don't know how it's supposed to work, then how are you supposed to figure out what is going on when it's not working correctly in that, so that's the key thing when it comes to anything that I've worked on in that. And I worked on more than just cars, I worked on furnaces, hot water heaters, forklifts, what else, boats, and small engine stuff, whatever comes in my shop, I usually say, okay, I'll try to fix it. And that, I'm the basic jack of all trades, but master of none, but it is better than being master of one. And then that's one thing that I always am proud of myself, is that I know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, but I'm not a master of any of it. But do you really need to be a master of it to be able to actually do it? No. But when I've seen people that they are a master of one thing, well, when they don't have that one thing to do, then they're kind of stuck. And when something comes up that they don't understand how to do, and that, I try to get my students to where they get past that mindset to where if there's a hurdle that they have to jump over, instead of just giving up, try to figure it out. And that, because all of this stuff is just basic, simple things. And that, the main class I taught was electrical, and that how to read wiring diagrams and how to use a meter to test stuff. And that, so you'll probably see that kind of thing come up on this channel, where I'll actually have a whiteboard and I'll be drawing wiring diagrams on there and explaining this is what's going on and this is what needs to happen. And that, so by knowing this, we can go to the car and test and see if that's actually happening. And if it's not, how to get to the next spot and test the next thing to see if that's the problem, why it's not doing what it's doing. And so yeah, so that's what I want to accomplish with this, is I just want to help people be able to figure things out, and that, and stuff. And when it comes to actually doing this type of stuff, there are several different ways to come up with the correct answer. And that, and a lot of people don't understand that, because there's the long way, there's the easy way, and the wrong way altogether, to where you're not going to get the correct answer. And that, but I don't know, I've, over the years that I've been doing this type of thing, I've found hopefully the way that I do it is pretty simple, pretty quick, and makes the most sense and the most efficient way of doing it. And that, I've always boasted to my students that most electrical problems I can figure out in about 15 minutes. And that, you look at it, you do the customer complaint, as they call it, and see what the customers complain about. You go out there and verify the complaint, and then you start going from there to what you need to do. A lot of times you go to a wiring diagram, look at the wiring diagram to see how the circuit's supposed to work, and then from there you try to decide where's the best place to start testing at, and then start testing from there. And so yeah, but before you really start testing anything, I'm really big on the visual inspection. And that, you go in there and you actually look and touch and wiggle and all that to try to figure out what's going on. I've had people bring me vehicles, like I had a Ford truck. I actually went to their house on this one, and that, where it was, the whole dash was tore apart. because the headlights, well, they didn't say the headlights weren't working. It was actually the tail lights weren't working, and it wasn't just the tail lights I found out, but also the parking lights weren't working too. So I knew, I needed to start testing, not just back at or by the tail lights. I had to test where the thing was. So I looked at the wire diagram, said, okay, I'll just start at the headlight switch since the dash was all tore apart, and I tested there, and there was no power there coming out of the switch, and there's no power going in from the switch. So I went back to the fuse box, and just coming out of the fuse box about maybe an inch or two, you could see where the wire was all corroded and actually almost ready to break. And and it only took me less than a half an hour to figure that out. And the guy, he was so flabbergasted that, he's like, man, I had another guy do this, and he was messing with this thing for 3 days, and he left the dash tore apart because he couldn't figure it out, and it only took you a half an hour. Yeah, and he couldn't believe it, and that, it's just, if you miss that visual inspection, you will, yeah, you might miss the most simplest thing ever. And instead of just sitting there testing, but you got to test there to know where to start looking too sometimes. So you kind of do a visual and test, and then visual again, just to figure out where to look, kind of stuff. So yeah, so I have hundreds of stories about like that stuff, and so I just figured, instead of having stories and that, I could actually do a video on actual what I actually do in real time, hopefully, in that. And I don't know. I know it's going to be kind of hard since this is the first time I've ever done this, to try to videotape as I'm doing and that, because a lot of times, I don't know, I just do instead of think, because I've done it so many times and stuff and that, so hopefully you guys will like this channel and see that how helpful it will actually be. And if you actually, as they say, subscribe, like, and share, I can help even more people than just you. And that's the key thing. The more people that I can help, the better it will be for everybody. And that, and if it gets up and running enough, I might even have it to where I'll give you guys an email address or something and have you email me a problem with your vehicle, and then I'll try to figure it out for you, and we'll just email back and forth and stuff, but be expecting that, where I will email you back asking you a question about what's going on in that, because if you're not very detailed in the problem, I'll need to know more about the problem, so that way I can give a better diagnostics, and then I will tell you to test this and test that before I will give you a definite answer on what is actually wrong. And that, because I've done that over the years too, where I've had students email me after they graduated, or I've had phone calls or texts and that, and sitting there diagnosing over the phone or through text message or email. A lot of people just expect well, this is what's going on, and they think I'll be able to just pull it out of my magic, ball. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now, but the magic ball, and like, oh yeah, this is what's wrong with your car, you need to fix this part, but it ain't that cut and dry. Sometimes I need to, I need you to tell me what to do, or not what to do, but what's the symptom, and then I will tell you, you need to test this. And then you come back and tell me what your test results are, and then I'll be depending on those test results, then I'll be like, all right, this is what you need to fix, or I need you to test this now. So it's not just going to be one email to me and an email to you and it's fixed. That ain't the way it works a lot of times. So sometimes it's several emails and then you can fix it, and that, and stuff. So yeah, I figured that, with all that, I can actually help people, and that, so the more people that watch this, they can help themselves by learning how to actually do the testing themselves, or hopefully through email correspondence, and I can help people that way figure out what's wrong with their car too, and that, you know. So yeah, but that's what I'm hoping for with this channel, and that is just, you know, to teach people how to actually diagnose cars correctly, and that, you know, and that because I've seen a lot of YouTube channels. I don't know, the ones I watch, none of them really show you any diagnostic stuff. They just show you the problem that they found and all that, but they never show you how they found the problem, I guess. And I just wanted to get to that point, you know. And a lot of the YouTube channels don't even get into electrical diagnostics or codes or any of that. It's mainly like brakes or, you know, bearings or transmission stuff, you know, and all that kind of thing and that. But I figured I'd try this out and see how it goes, and we'll go from there, I guess, and see how, if it goes well or if it grows good. If not, then I guess I tried. That's all you can do, right? Is try. Because if you don't try, then you don't know if it actually would work, and then that's how regrets happen. And that. So, but it's always best to at least try anything new in that. So, but yeah. So I guess the next video will be on what I have to do on this here and that. But I know one thing: I need a battery. There's no battery in it, and it's hard to diagnose anything without a battery that will crank. You know, so I'm going to end up putting a battery in it first, and then I'm going to do a small visual inspection of it. And another thing I noticed is that there's no coil wire coming off the cap, and it looks like the plug going to the ignition coil itself is non-existent too. So I got a little bit to do. So I already know I got spark issues in that. So I'm gonna have to address that first, and then once I get that going, and then we'll go from there and stuff. So I'll show you a few things in that. So because being the Lincoln Versailles 79, they weren't very common, so I might not be able to find what I need for actual parts that I want to put on here, but there might be some aftermarket stuff that I might be able to put on here to get it running, because that's kind of what I had to do with the other Lincoln Versailles and that. But we'll go through some stuff, and I'll probably break out some wiring diagrams and show you what I'm going to do and all that. So the bad thing is yes, it's going to slow me down on getting it running, but you know, well, I'm doing it because I want to teach you guys how to actually do it and that. So all right, but I guess we'll see. I think this will be good enough for the first video, I hope. So you all understand what I plan on doing and how to do it, and we'll go from there. So yeah, how do you end a video? I don't know. I guess I don't. Are you supposed to use the catchphrase now, or is it supposed to say have a good night, or what? I don't know. I guess I'll end it on hopefully. No, that ain't gonna work. I guess I'll just end it on everybody. Hopefully everybody has a good evening, and talk to you guys later.